Yes!
Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker Terror Tower of Tantalizing Turnips.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another brand new episode of The Completionist. You know, Nintendo has had a pretty solid year with Hyrule Warriors, Mario Kart 8, Bayonetta 1 and 2, Pokemon ORAS, and Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. It's a good time to have a Nintendo console. Yet there's one new title that I feel may go unnoticed this holiday season. Super Mario 3D World is in my top 10 favorite Mario games of all time. I have to admit though, one of my least favorite parts to play was the portion where you played as Captain Toad. Toad can't jump or attack in this game mode, and you control the map view with the gamepad. It was fun, but one of my biggest fears was that this would get boring really quickly. But Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker comes along, and my feeling of boredom from 3D World's Toad stages are starting to waver.
But Batman, won't this game just be the exact same as those levels from 3D World? You're gonna get bored, aren't you? I can feel you starting to fall asleep!
I don't know. There's something about Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker that seems new and refreshing. Let's get ready for adventure!
Ready for adventure!
The plot for Captain Toad is about as clearly laid out as any Mario game can be without the use of dialogue. We don't have a clear location, but based on the ending of the game, which I will address later, we can assume that we are in fact in the Mushroom Kingdom. It is important to know that the MSRP for Captain Toad is a little bit lower because the game is not very long or as in-depth as traditional first-party Nintendo games. It's currently marked at $39.99. With that said, our story involves Captain Toad and Toadette trying to collect stars. When they collect their first star, Toadette gets kidnapped by Wingo, which is this bird that has a star-based necklace. Technically, Wingo doesn't really kidnap Toadette, so much as Wingo just takes the star that they found, and then Toadette jumps onto the star and refuses to let go.
Man, Toadette's got some kung fu grip there.
So our adventure begins. We must rescue Toadette and get that star. Pretty simple. My only problem with the game's plot at this point is that for the first time in the Mario universe, the stars literally do nothing, and yet that's how we beat the levels. In Super Mario 64, Sunshine and Galaxy, collecting the stars restores power, or unlocks levels, and actually have a functioning purpose in the games. In Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, they're just treasure. Which, thinking about it now, if it's the main character's sole purpose to collect treasure, I guess the stars do have a reason to be collected after all.
I got it! He's Indiana Toad and the Temple of Goomba!
I also want to point out that the game is split into episodes and characters. Episode 1 involves you playing as Toad, Episode 2 involves you playing as Toadette, and Episode 3 has you playing as Hayden Christensen. Unfortunately, playing as Hayden does not offer different gameplay styles, but hey, it's still cool that he's in this game. Built upon the Mario 3D World engine, Captain Toad looks wonderful. The insane detail put into the animations and shading effects is fantastic. You can tell instantly that the game feels incredibly different than those few one-off levels within Super Mario 3D World.
I'm skeptical, Gerard. They look awfully similar.
With Captain Toad, they've learned how to make every level feel unique. This is pretty cool to accomplish, considering that the gameplay doesn't change that much. The camera control, which is really fluid and easy to use, gets a little tedious at times, especially with levels where you're running from several enemies or boss fights. And surprisingly, even with levels that are bigger than the average square levels, the limitations are overcome. The levels range from flat, wide surfaces with several small variances of height to tall vertical towers with complex ways of advancing. Throw in a lot of diverse enemies that you can't necessarily kill,
And baby, you got a stew going.
Aside from some menu assets and your traditional Mario sounds, the game's music is somewhat new, which is great. Some of it is rehashed from 3D World, although that's not necessarily a bad thing considering that 3D World's music is fantastic, but overall, I really felt like a kid again from start to finish when I was playing Captain Toad.
It took you back like when you saw Indiana Toad and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Chillers.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was like. Captain Toad is technically a puzzle platformer with a greater emphasis on puzzle. See, Toad can't jump. During the planning stages of Captain Toad, there was an idea to have Link from The Legend of Zelda be the main character, but Miyamoto shot the idea down. They knew that if the main character could jump, that these puzzles would all be solved too easily, and that they wanted the main character to stand out on its own. Captain Toad is the perfect fit, as the reasoning for him not being able to jump is that his backpack weighs him down from all of his tools and treasure.
If Toad needs a backpack for everything, where does Mario keep all of his coins? I don't want to think about it.
For those of you who passed on Super Mario 3D World, first off, why did you do that? That game is awesome! Second, Captain Toad is relatively simple. Every level has a star that you must collect. Using the gamepad, some levels will have you control platforms based on touch. You can also stop enemies from hurting you as well. Returning from the 3D world are the multiplier cherries and mushrooms for the Toads. Toad and Toadette have the ability to take 2 hits, with the mushrooms being their own way to power back up.
So if Toad and Toadette eat a mushroom, is that like cannibalism?
That's actually a good question. I have no idea.
They're monsters!
With Toad and Toadette not being able to jump, you do have a few options. Picking up turnips and throwing them a la Mario 2. Pulling roots from the floor will also give you coins, mushrooms, golden mushrooms which are worth 50 gold, and a pickaxe. The pickaxe is the equivalent to the hammer from the original Donkey Kong, which is great because when you grab it, it even makes the same chime. Each level has 2 secondary objectives to complete on top of getting the star. The first objective is to find the 3 treasure gems that are either in plain sight or hidden. Sometimes getting these gems is fantastic because it'll force you to really think differently. You'll be forced to look all around the levels, sometimes even underneath a level or two, and it's never tedious or strenuous. These gems are used to unlock more levels. The second objective is actually something you won't know until you beat the level. It could be anything like don't take damage or solve a touch-based puzzle under a certain amount of touches. My least favorite task is to find the hidden golden mushroom, which is really hard. You'll need to search every inch of some levels to find a hidden golden root, and it's far from obvious, but take this into consideration. As a completionist, Captain Toad is no easy feat. Over 70 levels, 3 gems per level with a secondary objective, on top of solving puzzles, usually causing you to play a level additional times.
Indiana Toad and the Replayable Crusade! Junior!
In between levels, you'll unlock these golden cards that are bonus level minigames. These are to help you farm for lives. You get to pick between a pickaxe level or a cherry level. Both are completely different but fun. And as the episodes move on, you'll eventually unlock the Mummy Maze where you're chased by a mummy toad, very similar to Shadow Mario in previous Mario games. There are 2 different elements that are in Captain Toad that were not in 3D World. The first is the turnip cannon. You can get inside of this cannon and use the gamepad to aim and shoot. The second element, which is similar to the turnip cannon, are the minecart levels. This basically turns Captain Toad into a railgun shooter, and it works well. A gripe I do have with these is that you cannot control the speed of the minecart, so it's truly just an animated railgun event.
Toadymon Snap?
The biggest strength of Captain Toad is that it evolves. It teaches you, challenges you, and forces you to learn how to be the best at the game.
I wanna be the very best Toad.
Now, I don't think this is a spoiler, but if you have a game save of Super Mario 3D World, you will unlock another tab on the main menu labeled Bonus. The bonus section acts as a 4th episode in a way. You'll unlock new game modes even without the 3D World game save, but to complete Captain Toad, you will need a 3D World game save on the console. This is kind of weird because you end up playing a few of the iconic levels from the Super Mario 3D World game, and they're literally the exact same. The problem is, you don't get power-ups, so it's just kind of a passive stroll through those levels. And as the game goes on, you'll need to unlock the other modes, like the Toad Brigade missions, where you'll need to rescue the Toad Brigade. Supposedly, there is amiibo support for Captain Toad, but I couldn't find it. I placed the amiibo on top of the gamepad, and nothing happened. They did advertise that this would be one of the few games that would work with the amiibos at launch, but perhaps Nintendo is planning to update it with a patch in the future? We'll have to wait for that one.
Don't worry, Board. I know we said Captain Toad would have amiibo support, but they'll all forget. Sir, somebody remembered. Shit.
The endings are quite predictable for a Mario game, even though it's not really a Mario game. The last levels for all 3 episodes will have you battling your way up to a top of a tower, avoiding Wingo's wind attacks from pushing you off. When you get to the top, you'll have to fight Wingo by grabbing the large turnips and throwing them at him.
Indiana Toad and the Raiders of the Lost Lark.
I don't get it.
A lark is a small bird.
Oh! After Wingo's defeat, the day is saved, and we get to enjoy a lovely scenic cart drive home. I think what's really fascinating about the end of the 3rd and final episode is that when the credits are over, it cuts to the opening scene of Super Mario 3D World and how Captain Toad got involved, following the green stars into the pipes.
So technically speaking, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a prequel?
Technically, yeah.
This is getting a bit of a George Lucas vibe, isn't it? Soon Toad will be pulling walkie-talkies out of the ground.
Each episode has 3 completionist things to check off your list. First, beating all the levels in the episode is key, obviously. Second, getting all the gems in every single level. There are 192 gems total in the game. Third, beating all the secondary objectives. If you've done all of this, you'll unlock 3 things. First, the episode book will show you that it's completed by the number of Toad stamps on the cover, with 3 being fully completed. 2, you'll unlock time trial challenges on every single level.
Wait, so you just beat every single level, got all of the gems, and beat the secondary objective, and then you have to replay the entire game again? Faster?
Yeah, and while you are awarded stars that adorn each side of the stamps to show you they completed the episode for the 4th time, you don't get anything at all for having completed all the time trials. Just bragging rights.
Wait, what was that 3rd thing you just spoke of?
The final thing you can unlock is the Mummy Me Forever Maze. The bonus game of Mummy Me is timed, so eventually you'll run out and just collect your prizes. However, Mummy Me Forever Maze is probably the hardest thing to do in the game, and it does have its own secondary objective: collect 5,000 coins. You'll have to run your ass off and collect 5,000 coins and run to the 50th floor. This is incredibly challenging, as every 5 levels, the enemy layout changes and every floor is randomly generated, so you can't really form a strategy, you just have to be really good. I am proud to say that when you do get to the 50th floor, you'll find the treasure room. In the treasure room, the Toad Brigade is dancing and celebrating with you.
Dang! Even Toad is getting his groove on.
There's a plant formation that spells thank you, and on the pedestal awaits the golden crown. Collecting this crown will permanently equip Toad and Toadette with the crown while you play the game. You will also unlock the last few pages of the bonus chapter, which are all just bonus games you'd want to play, unlimited, to let you farm lives. All in all, for the completion bonus, it feels so rewarding to overcome the challenge of the 50th floor. That was so awesome. But I am incredibly disappointed with the lack of reward from beating all the time challenges, as the majority of those were super difficult, and it led to many hours of frustration in crafting complex battle strategies for certain levels. I'm pleased to say that Captain Toad totally, I see what I did there, changed my feelings about the 3D World levels. The game feels brand new, and it provides a lot of challenging puzzles that will make you approach puzzle games with a different light, and it's just so damn cute. The biggest problem, like with the 3D World levels, is that the camera is not always your friend, and that for casual players, the game is pretty short. But for you completionists out there, it's worth that $40 price tag, as when you beat the game, you'll feel accomplished and satisfied.
As long as you're okay without any sort of real tangible reward.
Trust me when I say this. Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker is a pleasant and welcoming surprise this holiday season. And if you got friends, playing this one as one big team puzzle game is tons of fun. Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker was a delightful surprise that families and completionists alike will enjoy. I kind of wish this game was maybe $20 or $30, as $40 still may be a little bit too high, but nonetheless, for $40, I do feel that you get that value of the game. Casuals may find this game a bit short, but completionists will enjoy this easygoing game. With that in mind, guys, this game gets my completionist rating of Finna Pete It.
Finna finna-peat it. And after you finna-peat it, be sure to subscribe if you missed our awesome review on Smash Brothers for Wii U, starring the wonderful Zender Mobius, the announcer from the actual game. Click right here. Also, if you want to see a cool spot do spotty spot things, click here for our review of Cool Spot. At ThatOneVideoGamer.com, we have our Spotify playlist with some treasure hunting music. Back to you, Gerard. Captain Gerard.
That's all the time we've got for today, guys, so please, as always, leave your thoughts somewhere on the internet, all the socials, the Reddits, the websites, so many different things. If you're still here, give me that hashtag Indiana Toad, and tell me some of your own Indiana Toad puns. Now, if you excuse me, let's just watch Toad do his dance party thing. Looped. He's gonna be looped because I don't know. It looks cuter when he just does the same thing over and over and over again. Cue the footage, cue it. Cue the Toad. I'm going home.